Hi, Leah from My Sewing Room here. Today we are going to be using the Borther PR1055X and some of the very cool built-in font options and font editing features that are available. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of those great fonts and customize this really adorable baby sleep sack with the words "Shh, baby is sleeping." So along with using those great built-in options, we'll be using the versatile magnetic frame in the 5x7 hoop. If you would like to check out the installation video for the versatile magnetic frame, you can check out the video here, as well as the tubular frame table. So that will be installed, and if you want to check out the installation video for that, you can check it out here. Join me as we walk through the supplies you'll need to make this project, and then we'll get started with our embroidery. Some of the supplies we'll be using today is a combination of stabilizers. The fabric I'm working on today is got a flannel lining on this baby sleep sack. So flannel lining covered by a cuddle or minky exterior, and we are putting lettering on here, and often lettering is quite dense. So we are going to double up stabilizers to make sure that nothing shifts and moves as we go. So the stabilizer options we'll be using today, we're going to be using fusible polymesh right up against the inside of the sleep sack. We'll be using Ultra Clean and Tear as a second layer of stabilizer to ensure that our stitches come out nice and tidy. And then to keep our stitches from sinking into that textured fabric on the front of this project, we'll be covering the cuddle with Stitch H2O, which is a wash away topping layer. It'll come back out afterwards and let those stitches sit beautifully on top of that dimpled fabric. The last thing we'll add at the very end, once the embroidery is done, is gentle touch backing. So gentle touch backing is a soft knit backing to cover embroidery and can help protect soft, gentle skin from the roughness of both stabilizer and threads on the back of our embroidery projects. Always helpful to add this in if you're making for small children and babies especially. Along with the stabilizers, we'll be using a Choco liner pen to help get a placement for both segments of our design. We'll be embroidering on both the left and the right hand side of that zipper. So we'll need to mark that so they end up even. And the all-important 505 spray to help adhere layers of stabilizer together. This is going to make life definitely a little bit easier. So the first step for prep on this baby sleep sack is figuring out where we would like the embroidery. Overall, I'm pretty sure I'd like the embroidery up near the top, as that bottom layer might end up underneath feet and not as visible once baby's up and moving around. So I'm going to aim to have the embroidery up in this area here, and I'd like to make sure that the embroidery ends up evenly on both the left and the right sides. To prep our fabric, I know that I'll be placing embroidery here and here. And before I do any marking and use the snowman stickers for final machine placement, I'm going to adhere the fusible polymesh inside on the lining layer of our project. So fusible polymesh, there are instructions when you purchase it, but it does need to be ironed hot enough and long enough that it stays in place. And this is going to help with the stretch that is available in this fabric. Usually you want your stabilizer about an inch bigger, but I don't know where I want final placement just yet. So I'm gonna put my piece of fusible polymesh on and make it just a wee bit bigger than I think I need. And I'll be able to trim it back out after. Now that I have the fusible poly mesh adhered to the inside front of my sleep sack, I can figure out my placement for our design. Our designs today are going to be roughly 4 inches by 4 inches on both left and right. And I don't want them too close up to the shoulder, so we're going to bring down the center point by about 4 inches, and we'll use this as the center line with our design extending up roughly 2 inches from there. I think we don't want the embroidery too close to baby's face, but close enough that you can see it when you're looking at an adorable babe in bed. The horizontal line there will ensure that both sides on either of the embroidery will be at the same centered height. And then we'll center our design off. Well, this is exceptionally difficult to see on this fabric. I mostly just needed the guideline in there so that I can use it to help line up my snowman sticker. So with the camera on board the PR1055X, we're able to use the snowman stickers to help orient our designs in the hoop, especially on fabrics that are difficult to work with or difficult to mark. The snowman sticker, the smaller circle up top, will indicate where the top of the design needs to go, so I know right away that when I use the snowman positioning sticker, my design will orient itself with the top of the design facing the top of the baby. No fear about getting that wrong and having your design upside down. And place one on either side, as we'll be embroidering both sides of this onesie separately. Now we're almost ready to take this over to the machine. This particular item does open and unzip, so I'm going to be able to hoop just this side initially and then add in my other side after. And I can use a smaller hoop. You definitely want to try and use a hoop, the smallest hoop available for your machine at all times. One more thing I'm going to do here is we have a piece of clean and tear that is big enough to fit the hoop, then we'll adhere to the back of our onesie. To hold these layers together, using a light coating of Borther 505 spray and centering that stabilizer. A couple points of note. I'm going to actually pre-hoop this one on the table for you guys. It'll be a little bit easier to see how I'm managing both the zipper and the magnets on our magnetic hoop that we're using today. So we'll start here. And I'm going to take that zipper head and roll it way out of the way. Because what I know for sure is that I don't want this zipper getting caught and ending up accidentally stitching through the zipper. The great thing about using the magnetic hoop for this, it'll be very gentle on this cuddle dimple dot fabric. Release all those magnets. And I can slide this in. And right now I've got the teeth of the zipper roughly aligned just inside our stitching area. And you'll note the small circle here is not up to the top of the hoop, but over towards the left-hand side. And the machine will be able to account for that when we use the positioning sticker. It'll rotate the design for us to make sure that we still have up going to the upside of the design. Let's head over to the machine and we'll start building out our very cool little design and use some of the very cool built-in font options. Roughly where we're headed today is one side of our sleep sack to say shh, and the other side to say baby is sleeping. We'll build both of these individually to show you how. So first up, I'm going to pull up my fonts. And what I'm looking for today is a font that reads as kind of young, childish, a little bit more relaxed and fun. I'm going to pick this font here. I'm going to be spelling shh with an S. As many H's as we think we need. And we'll add in some punctuation. So right now, as we build our design, we can see that the size is sitting just below 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. I was aiming for roughly 4 inches by 4 inches, so we're just under that size, which is pretty close to where I want it to be. Next up, I'm going to use our array option. And there's some very cool selectability as far as arrays go. We can just have flat lines of text, or we can start angling your text. Not sure this is the angle I want this, so it is adjustable using the arrow keys near the bottom. If you press and hold longer, .92 millimeters by 92 millimeters is kind of the size I was aiming for. I think that's pretty cute. We could also hit set, and this could be ready to go just as it is. However, I think it'd be really super adorable if that S was just a little bit bigger than its friends, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure I love having the 3 H's. I think I'd like to go back to 2. Anytime you build a word like this on the PR1055X, you're always able to go back and edit before final stitch out. You can go into text edit. So we'll take you right back into your editing screen. So using the arrow keys, we can scroll back through our word and either remove that extra letter that we didn't want or fix spelling if you misspelled a name. I can also scroll back to the S. And right now, with the ABC selected, the entire word will be edited. But if I'd like to change just the size on a single letter in this, I can select the single letter key here. I'm going to size and size up. So we can size up proportionally, or I could stretch this S up. I think for today, I'm just going to stretch it up. I think that's pretty cute. If there's any other adjustments I'd like to make, I could do this so at this time. Now I can hit set. And I can hit end edit. I've picked different colors for the machine than what was on last time. So we'll set up the machine colors to match the thread colors we're using so that when we select a thread color here, it all makes sense. For the embroidery on today's project, I'm going to be using a light yellow and a light green, making sure this baby sleep sack can be used for any baby that shows up. We can go into the needle change tool and the color palette page. I can select needle 2, which is where I've placed the yellow thread, unanchor, and select light yellow. Anchor. And I place that light green on needle 3. I also still have white thread on my needle 1, and that will be the colors I need for today. So for this, on this first side, I'm going to keep this as a single color design. I'm going to add in a basting box. This will help hold my stitch H2O on top of my fabric as we get started. And I'm going to tell the machine which needles I'd like to pull this information from. I think we're going to make the sh in yellow. Oh, that was the basting box. We'll make the basting box in yellow, basting box in white, and the sh in yellow. I realize right now that this is a little bit challenging to see that really light yellow thread on the white background. So we still have the option to change the background view color in our embroidery screens. We go into our user settings and change embroidery background color. And I'm embroidering on dark brown fabric today, so if I pick a dark brown and hit OK, it'll be a little bit more obvious which pieces of this design are where. It'll make more sense that we've picked an appropriate color on top of the fabric we're using. I'm ready to install the frame, and we'll get started with using that snowman sticker. Frame is installed with our snowman sticker on top. We're able to select the snowman option, placement, positioning sticker, and hit OK. And I would like to use the center of the design, which is the crosshair at the bottom here, as my guide point. And it shows that the tops of those letters are facing the top with the snowman. So you can see exactly where it's trying to align your design. I'm going to hit OK. And OK. Once instructed to do so, you may remove the embroidery positioning mark or your snowman sticker. Careful not to disrupt the fabric. Often those stickers are tacky enough to reuse multiple times. And on screen you can see that the design has been rotated by approximately 90 degrees, along with its basting box. Now that we've used that camera for placement, I put that nice piece of wash away topping over top of my stitching area. Go to the embroidery screen. Hit the lock and the green go button. The machine will stitch the basting box first. And if something goes wrong, like the bobbin tail is too short, easy to get in there. Reseat the bobbin with a slightly longer tail. And right on screen, tell the machine to back up to its start. Machine is done stitching the white basting box. It's going to immediately change to the next thread color in our design and change to that needle technique. Love hearing that happy embroidery music. Let's move on to the second side. Before moving on, I am going to remove the excess stabilizer from this side. Just going to make managing the second side just a little bit easier. So first up, I'm going to clip the bobbin threads on the basting box, usually each corner. Then the basting box will almost fall off. You'll be able to remove those threads. The tearaway stabilizer on the back, we can tear away, gently supporting those stitches. The remainder of this ultra clean and tear will break down through laundry, but you may not want to leave it in if you're gifting this to someone else. And gently peel back some of that fusible poly mesh. Allowing us to trim loosely around our design. If you fuse this quite short, it'll lift very easily. If you've fused it quite firmly, it'll be a little bit more challenging to remove. You can always warm it back up and it will peel away cleanly and easily. Once we're done on the front, on the back side of the embroidery, we'll come and tidy up the front. The stitch H2O is water soluble. However, again, the stitching on these letters is fairly dense, and gently supporting those stitches will allow us to remove all of that stitch H2O. There you have it. Side one is done. We'll prep side two, same as we prepped side one, and we'll go and build the design. Now that my second side is hooped and attached to the machine, let's go build the second portion of our design. I'm going to hit the home key to take us back to our home screen. We're going to go back into our font options, go and find that same adorable font, font 14. And I'm going to say baby, return key. Oop. Delete if you put the wrong letter in. Oh, I didn't hit the return key. Delete, delete, return. We've got a return key, so you can make multi-line text. Return key. And right now, these words are centered on each other. We could have them left aligned, right aligned, left aligned, or center aligned. I'm going to keep them center aligned for now and hit set. Now right now, the colors that this is showing up a little bit challenging to see, so I'm going to remember that I'm still stitching on a brown background. So I'm going to change the color to white for just a second. On all three of these pieces, we'll come and recolor everything in a minute once we've got the layout we'd like to have. So because we built all 3 lines of text as one unit, they are currently grouped. So if I would like to do any individual editing, I would need to ungroup, and I could do so if I wished. I once again have options. Nope, I don't have those options available right now. If I ungroup, any single one of these lines can be dealt with on its own, and I can use alignment tools that are on board the machine, including that left align, right align. Bottom align is going to stack them all up weird. Probably not what I want to do, but great news, I do have an undo key if I need it. So, with all 3 objects selected on screen, I can only change them as a group. If I would like to just work with one individual line, I can use the select key, now that they're ungrouped, to select a single line. The first one I'm going to go and select is the word baby. Right away, I know that I would like the baby to have some very cool shaping to it. So I'm going to go into text options and array, and I would like to arc the word baby. Pretty cute. I can change the curvature up or down as much as I want. And hit OK. And set. It'll set that word as is. Next up, I think the word is, I would like to size down just a little bit. So I can use the size key. We can change it to a medium, which makes it way smaller than I wanted, or I can go back to large and then use the size with aspect ratio downward. Visually, I just like that a little bit smaller. Maybe we'll move it up a little bit. And lastly, the word sleeping is longer than I would like it to be, so I'm going to size it down. Something like that. And if these are no longer aligned, I don't want to spend all the time and effort of realigning these using the position on screen. Sometimes that's not simple to do. So I can use the multi-select tool and select each piece that I want to work with right now. And OK. And now I can use my alignment functions to align the vertical centers. Get those back to where I wanted them in the first place. I'm pretty happy with that. One more thing I'd like to be able to do. Well, the word baby is super cute. It would be adorable having this all in a single color. I've got a fun machine that can do more things, so let's make some of these multicolor words. We're going to make the word baby multicolor. And it will split up the word into its individual components. So I can go green, yellow, green, yellow, green. Keep the word is white, maybe. And we could also make the word sleeping multicolor. Taking a quick look at this, and maybe we'll change that to yellow too. You make all these design choices before you ever have thread in the machine and on your project. If I wanted to group these at this point, we go back to the multi-select tool and either select all or select each component individually, and OK. And then we can hit group. Grouping just means that if I do move this around on screen, I'm not going to lose that great placement and alignment that I've already built. We'll go end edit. I already have my frame installed, and I have that snowman sticker or positioning sticker ready to go. So we'll let the machine take a picture of the hoop and figure out which direction this design needs to be placed. Again, we'll be using the center point of our design, ensuring that the top of the design is headed toward the top of the sleep sack. You get a message such as pattern extends out of the stitching area. It could be you need to slightly rehoop and reposition because the design may be slightly too long and extended past the 5x7 stitching area of this particular frame. Not a big deal. This is magnetic hoop. It'll be super quick and easy. When the machine is satisfied that we've got this aligned where we want it, you remove the embroidery positioning sticker. Add in our basting box. Well, normally I like to use manual color sequence to go through and individually set which color is pulling from which needle on a design. In a design like this that I know I'm only using 2 colors and is swapping around back and forth a whole bunch, manual color sequence actually is not the easiest way to manage this design. So we're going to turn manual color sequencing back off and use the other option. It would be auto color sequencing. We'll hit OK. Go back into our user settings. Travel to page 7 and turn manual color sequence off. When I hit OK and go back in to my thread settings, I can link the colors together. So I've got yellows and greens with a white basting box. And I can link which needles are where. The colors here match the colors I've told the machine that it has, and it's going to be able to automatically figure out which needle it should pull from for each of these designs. And hit OK. And then one more thing I'd like to do, rather than having it go yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green all the way through, be a little more efficient if we did a color sort. There's no layering or shading in this design that we need to worry about. It's just the letter sequence. So I'm going to go manual color sort and then go embroidery. So with this, it knows that nice yellow color's on needle 2. And if I scroll through my design here, my nice green color is on needle 3. This will easily allow you to use the linked colors and the matched colors to pull from the same needle automatically, saving you time and effort. Alternately, without color sort on, when we get to the embroidery screen, you'll be changing from needle 2 to needle 3, needle 2, needle 3, needle 2, needle 3, all the way through. That seems a little bit silly to me. I am ready to hit go. Just like that, the second side is done and ready to be removed from the machine. Once again, clip the basting threads on the back and the corners. Remove the bobbin thread from the basting. remove the clean and tear. Gently remove the stitch H2O. If any of the stitch H2O is not easily removing, a damp Q-tip can be just the tool needed. Especially inside those little letters. We'll turn the poly mesh down just around the embroidery. And lastly, we'll iron a piece of Gentle Touch over top so there's no scratchy stabilizer irritating a sleeping baby. Thank you so much for watching along today and learning more about the Borther PR1055 Entrepreneur Pro X font options and learning how you might handle doing super adorable giftware for every baby shower you'll ever need to go to, customizing those cute little things you find that are just plain and cuddly. If you want to know more about the PR1055, follow our channel, mysewingroom.ca, and hit subscribe, and then hit the bell for notifications so you know when we launch more videos. If you have somebody you know who needs to get going, starting their own embroidery business, get in touch, mysewingroom.ca.